Good afternoon. I'll call the Public Works Committee meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Cindy,
Here.
Seth,
Here.
Todd,
Here.
Andrew,
Here.
Crystal will not be here tonight.
Okay, we have a quorum. First period for public comment. If anybody in the audience wants to speak, your name, address, 3 minutes.
Does it work?
It is.
Okay. I'm Michael Brown, 703 Connor Street, resident here of Viroqua. I've got 3 kids, and I wanted to address my concern about the Main Street improvement project. So I first want to acknowledge the amazing and awesome work that went into redesigning that downtown traffic flow, and I recognize that it isn't even completely done yet because we're still talking about Center Street. But I'm here today because the system inadvertently created a critical safety issue that puts children at risk. And before I explain my concern, I want to explain a bit about my background. If you've ever seen a white bike, painted bicycle on the side of the road, chained up to something with a sign, that's called a ghost bike. I started that global movement of cycling, of cyclists and people on bikes getting killed by cars about 20 years ago in Pittsburgh. And then more recently, about 10 years ago, when I was working for Trek, I led the company initiative to bring daytime running lights to bikes, popularizing rear-facing blinking lights to draw awareness to people on bikes through a campaign called the ABCs of Safety. So I'm really passionate about bike riding and about keeping people safe. I'm also unfortunately very aware of statistics and studies around traffic fatalities for people on bikes. And before I can continue on with my main concern, I just want to say that I reviewed the plan for the Main Street improvement, and I didn't see this coming. The core problem that I see right now is there's no safe, legal bicycle crossing across Main Street. The current one-way configurations make it impossible to legally cross Main Street by bike for this main 3-block corridor. And here's why. Court and Terhune flow away from Main Street on both sides, and you can't use them to legally cross over Main Street. And Jefferson Street funnels both directions toward Main Street. And again, there's no direct crossing possible. So realistically, every east-west bicycle trip near that 3-block downtown corridor funnels a person on a bike onto Main Street where there's no bike lane and a lot of heavy equipment and parking. This doesn't work for kids primarily, which is my main concern, biking east-west across town. And the 3 options they face are, number 1, legal but possibly deadly, ride onto Main Street for 1 block over to a connector street. There's an illegal option, which is either bike wrong way against traffic or ride on the sidewalk. Or it's just impractical to detour north to Decker or south past South Street. And let's be honest, most kids are just going to ride the wrong way down one of those streets. We should be concerned about this because of the way modern vehicles are designed. An average pickup truck dash height is around 48 to 55 inches. A kid on a bike seat is around 36 to 42 inches. And the driver's sight angle when they're in the driver's seat is 15 degrees, pointing downward at the maximum. And children, therefore, are just invisible to drivers and trucks within about a 20-foot range. So when you add all of the impatience of drivers, rush hour, child's unpredictable behavior, we basically have a recipe for a tragedy. And I think that a child is going to get hit by a car or truck in near order. But solutions, that's what we're here to provide and talk about.
You have a minute.
I see immediate solution for a paint modification in what's called a contraflow bike lane on Jefferson Street. This could be a simple paint job with bike symbols and bikes only lane markings. This may disrupt some of the parking options that are available today, but it seems like the most reasonable option. And we should also consider some increased signage, like share the road, children crossing, downtown is for everyone, something like that, just to encourage awareness. Jefferson Street is this logical choice because it already funnels traffic toward Main Street from both directions. And converting this direction to allow bike crossing could maintain the existing vehicle flow efficiency, provide the most direct east to west route between popular destinations like the school for the kids on the east side or which side, and then the park and the library on the other side. The bottom line is right now we're asking kids to make a hard choice, and it's a really difficult one for anybody on a bike to figure out how to cross over and do it safely. Thank you.
Did you want to speak, Krista? Anybody online like to make a public comment? Please state your name and address. Okay, very good. Moving on, approval of committee minutes from June 17th, 2025.
Mr. Otto approve that we have accept the minutes, June 17th, 2025.
Very good. Todd
This
made
is AJ, I'll second.
AJ second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Review and approval of pay request number 5 for Main Street Tap Project.
Sorry, Cindy, I got down here late and I didn't ask if you could put number 8 first because Mike is waiting for his agenda item.
Okay,
which is number
we will go to number 8. Review and approval of contract with Badger Environmental for landfill gas remediation phase 1. Take it away, Sarah.
Okay, so Mike Amstead is here today as well online, and we're just going to go through what we have for Badger Environmental to do the first third of the landfill project, which is that connecting point adjacent, like that would be parallel Main Street there, right at the end of Sands Road. So we end up having 2 documents that we're showing because we have 2 numbers. And the reason we have 2 numbers is because we are not 100% sure what we're going to need to do for depth. So I'm going to show you the, I guess, worst case scenario first, which is the one that we have up here. Mike, please feel free to jump in at any time about our worst case scenario or whichever. So I think the big things here is we're not exactly sure until we start digging how deep we're going to be. In this scenario, it is a 15-foot excavation, which is significantly more higher price than the shallower one. And it's not necessarily like comparable. I'll just show that one for a moment here as well. The reason being is that, whoops, that's the wrong one. Excuse me. Uh-oh, have I closed it on accident? I keep doing that. It is one of those things. It looks like I have because, oh, no, this is the one we want. I forget that I have some things on different screen. Okay. So if you look between the 2 of them, this one is a 10-foot trench excavation and it's 40,000. But if we look at the one that I say is the worst case scenario, it's significantly more. And that's because they start getting into tricky situations with the excavator. So this is a excavation per cubic yard. And so when they'll be using a trench box, but the trench box is about 10 feet. So once they start having to dig deeper than the trench box, that's when we're not sure about what will happen with the garbage, what's in the landfill, and whether we're going to have to excavate a wider excavation in order to do it safely. And so that's why we're going to show you this one as the top number, so to speak. The piping and that linear footage, this is pretty consistent. And then the covers would obviously change depending on how wide the excavation is. We did find out today, this was our worst case scenario for what to do with the waste. The DNR prefers us to landfill it elsewhere. We had talked to 3 landfills, La Crosse, Monroe, and Vernon County. And Vernon County did get back to us today saying that the DNR said they can accept the waste. And so this 37,200 number actually looks like will be in that 23,325 range. So, reducing by about 15,000. But we're still looking at worst case scenario, about 250,000. This will be more like 230 if everything goes by what we have our quantities here. But I would say we always know that our quantities in a construction project are somewhat fluid, but in this one, they're a lot more fluid, right? Because there's a lot of unknowns in the scenario. And as we start opening it up, we'll have a better idea of what's there. But again, we're trying to give the best indication of what might be out there. How am I doing, Mike?
Good. I'll just throw in the first 5 feet of the excavation is the existing final cover. So in both scenarios, you're taking 5 feet of soil off of the waste. The difference is, do you go down 5 feet or do you go down 10 feet into the waste? And those are just numbers that I arbitrarily picked to get a range in cost. Is it going to be 9 feet, 11 feet, varying, we don't know until we dig the first hole. The part of the first start, get started.
Okay. So on the other side of the best case scenario, which I would say would be optimistic. Let me just make sure I have the correct thing up. Nope, not that one.
Did you say Vernon County can or cannot
They
accept?
can.
Can,
Yeah.
okay.
So on the other end, again, we're looking at the 138,800 number, but we do know that if we haul it to Vernon County, we're going to save roughly $7,000. So we're about 130,000. So we're going to put this into contract form and bring it to council next week. But we're looking for approval to move it to council from the Public Works Committee.
So phase one, so this is why it's only 100,000 and
Correct.
not 400 some thousand.
Or more, yes. We are doing 1/3 of the project. And 1/3 because we selected the place that was closest to the church, which is the area that we were most concerned about, because that's where it originally was detected. And then we're going to see how successful that is. We're going to do continuous monitoring. And then provided that it looks like it was effective, we move forward with the rest. But it's a big chunk to take out until we know that this is a successful method. There are other ones that are more expensive, more mechanical and more complicated. And we're really, Mike's expertise tells him that this is the place to start. And we're setting ourselves up so that if we do need to modify into a different version, we're setting ourselves up so we could use what we have here to do that. So yes, this is 1/3 of what we would estimate it be. So worst case scenario, right? We potentially are at, I'm not used to doing this way, sorry. We're potentially at more of the 245, 230 number, possibly worst case scenario times 3, right?
Ouch.
Well, we're hoping we learn from what is out there to start with, but the DNR has given us permission to have our implementation of this due July 30th. So we are hoping that after next Tuesday, we can give Badger the go-ahead and they'll either start that next day or the following Monday. We're working through what the best case scenario is. And we're expecting it to not take longer than a week. But again, this is like our pilot for the rest of the project. Like I said, Mike, jump in anytime.
Doing great.
Great.
Is-
Awesome. Okay, so that's what we're looking for tonight. The cost here, I will say that this was not an agenda item, but just in considering the budget for this project, we do have a change order, excuse me, for the contract for TRC, which is the consulting that we're going to put on the council agenda when you see it. It is for 20, oh, I don't have it in front of me. 22,950, if that was that, if I'm right there, Mike. Excuse me.
Yes, that sounds, I have 22.9 in my
Yeah.
head, so
And just as a reference,
ballpark, yeah.
right, as a reference, we are about halfway through the budget of the last time we amended it for the plan. So meaning there's still money there that we haven't spent. We'll see how this all goes and what the next step is. And so we're doing well from what we budgeted with TRC's contract. But again, time will tell. So that's not something to approve because it's not on the agenda item, but just as you're in your mind, when you start adding numbers up, those are the kinds of numbers we're talking about for construction services, to have him out for the first day and then like continuous monitoring of what's happening out there.
Okay. Seth,
And that was a 5-day estimate.
Seth, AJ, Todd, any questions, comments? Does someone want to
No
make a,
questions from me. I'll give a shot at the motion. I make a motion to approve the contract with Badger Environmental for the landfill remediation phase 1.
okay, send it on to council? Okay, we have a motion by AJ,
I'll second it.
second by Todd. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Seth,
Aye.
Todd,
Aye.
Andrew,
Aye.
and Cindy.
Aye, motion carries. So back to number 4. Review and approval of pay request number 5 for Main Street Tap Project.
Okay, these came in at the 11th hour, literally half an hour before the meeting. I was happy to actually see them because it has been 2 months of not having them. And I will say that I'd like to move it towards council, but what they submitted is not correct. They missed, well, there's a couple things that are not correct about it. Let me just pull it up here. Sorry. For some reason, I'm just not as quick at this as Nate is. And it's fighting me. Why are you fighting me? What am I doing wrong, Nate? It's coming. It says it's over there. Now, no, shouldn't I just...
Put it up into the bar. Grab it and put it up in the bar.
Oops.
There you go.
This one doesn't want to go up there. Oh, now it's looking better. Okay, here we go.
Hmm.
It was fussy. Okay, so for one, we have paid pay request number 4 out, so that is not correct. And I have, yeah, that, and it was, we paid 250,000 last time. So we are at, this should be closer to 7, and then this is total work, but when you add everything up, it's like closer to 100 or 1 million, which I know that it will be over because all the repairs that we did, that we added to the project are on here. However, there's some things are just not correct here. Because this is also, they're missing the paint markings, which, you know, adds up to 30-some thousand. So if we could move it to go to council, but this is not what we're asking for. I don't know how to do that in a pretty way, Lori.
You can just say you reviewed it and I'll just bring it on forward.
Okay.
You don't have to do official motion on that.
All right, so yes,
So that's it? You're done with that?
move it on to council and I'll come back with correct numbers.
Okey doke. So number 5, review and approval of pay request number 4 for Main Decker Project.
So, as mentioned, this one I did not have a lot of time to look at, and I think I just closed it. Oh, just my day. Hold on one sec. I thought it was the other one. This is what happens when they come in so close to the end of the day. Not that one. Okay, this one I actually think is probably correct, but I haven't had a chance to verify all of it. So I would say we should approve it. Oh, it's doing it again. Pending, it worked. See, I don't know why that one, it did it the same as the other one. Okay, so I actually think this is correct. So the current payment due they have here as $2,497.30. we need to pay them out the retainage. So that's just something that they have to correct. But I think that we're actually looking pretty good. So this project, when I was able to plug these numbers in, which again was all at the 11th hour. Didn't like that. Oh, Nate, see what happens when I end up having to do that? Now, why does it look like that? Let's see if it likes my other screen better. Ah,
It's thinking,
it's thinking, just give it time.
well, your computer may just try to be doing too much at once.
Okay, well, long story short is I believe we're $7,000 under budget for this project. So I think we can bring this forward to council. I think the total of 110,214 is actually going to be the final payment number. And I will verify that before the next committee or council meeting, but this one should be better.
So this is for the corner?
This is for the
City Hall, old
yeah.
City Hall corner? Okay. So anybody want to make a motion to send this on to council?
This is,
Seth,
no, go ahead.
Seth, I make a motion that we forward this item on to council for full review. Is that, sorry,
An approval? Yeah. How
JJ, I'll second.
about for $2,497.30?
Well, I would actually go with the
About 110? What you said?
One-
actually, no, because now that I think about it, I can't say 100 because that's the total amount. They reduced the contingency. Hold on one sec here. So 19,921 should be the total of what is remaining under the contract, because once the contract is done, we release the retainage. So that one would be the 19,921 would be the final payment.
Is that okay with you, AJ?
That's
Or
what they have on payment number 3. So is that,
So this is the total amount that we paid them so far. And then when I added this 2,000 plus, so this is it's so confusing. Let me see if I can open my.
I think you better leave the amount off at
Let's do that. That sounds great.
this point, if we're not
Okay.
completely accurate.
It's very true.
I won't give a total then. And we'll leave it to moving forward to full council for approval.
And then a second by Todd, correct?
AJ,
AJ seconded it. Oh, okay. So since there's no money, we still do a roll call?
yep.
Roll call, please.
So Todd.
Aye.
Andrew.
Aye.
Cindy
Aye.
and Seth.
Aye.
Okay, review and approval of change order number 2, 2024 sewer project.
Thank you. Once I get it to do what it's supposed to do. Gosh, I'm having a hard time with this. Ah. Come on, let's do it.
Right.
There we go. Not the right one, but we'll work with one at a time, I guess. This is one I actually needed earlier. Okay. So this one is for the sewer project. It is change order 2. It shows a like a positive amount, 4,301.45, which is true for the change order, but it's actually a reduction of cost because in the actual pay request, there's less asphalt that needed to be removed. So it actually was a reduction in cost, not an increase. But in the change order, it is because those are the items that have been altered or added. this is the total. So basically, we did have some increase on the fairgrounds fence. When we took it down, it was pretty bad shape in a lot of cases, and they've been so cooperative. I wanted to make sure that we weren't making sort of like a Frankenstein fence for them. So there was about $1,200 of materials that we didn't have originally in there because we had a reusing of the fence. Most of it was reused. It was mostly like the top bar that was problematic. The sewer casing pipe and the concrete replacement, you can see are 1-for-1. Essentially what happened was in the original proposal to cross Main Street, it was an open cut. There's a lot of stuff under Main Street, like a lot of traffic, so to speak, of underground work. And so and rock, and they had to like weave in and out of the existing water main and storm sewer. But they said, you know what, we really want to try it. We'd rather not open up all of Main Street. That's why it was kind of like on one side they had it open, but not the entirety of it. And we said, well, if you'd like to do that, it has to be at no cost to the city. So meaning like if they ran into trouble and it didn't work, that was their cost and they would have to do the other way at the same price. So long story short, they were successful. And so that was why you see 15, it's a reflective increase, decrease. So a net zero amount. The other thing that was boring the sanitary laterals under Broadway. So we had, again, not wanting to open up the road if at all possible. And so they did the same sort of thing. They said, okay, we'll bore under it. And it was at their risk. So you actually see 3 here. They bored 4 times. They ran into a rock structure one time and had to start over for one of them. So again, it was their risk, their cost. And then it shows like a reduction in the pavement patches. And then it ends up being that we just had less in total on the bid form as well. So we are at $4,301.45 on this one. But it worked out really well. I would say the only like increase in cost was that fairgrounds fencing materials that we haven't planned for. So looking for an approval for change order number 2 for the sewer project.
For the 4301.
For the 4301 and 45 cents.
Okay,
This is AJ. Make a motion to approve change order number 2 for the 2024 sewer project for the total of $4,301.45.
Todd will second it.
okay, motion by AJ, second by Todd. Any further discussion, question? Roll call, please.
Andrew,
Aye.
Cindy,
Aye.
Seth,
Aye.
and Todd.
Aye.
Motion carries. Review and approval of pay request number 8, 2024 sewer project.
Okay, so this is the actual last pay request, which is exciting. We always like when we get to the final pay request. So that's why you see retainage is now 0. The total contract was the $1,095,988.60. We had change orders, but again, it provided reductions later. And so the total project ended up being $1,094,471.26. So we roughly were under budget by about $1,500, but I'll take it. Anything close to 0, I'm happy with. So, in this pay request, you don't see a lot of materials and work because a lot of it is paying them out the retainage that we held back from them. Let's see if there's anything that's a highlight. It's not really. It's mostly what I've already spoken about in terms of like what we did with the fencing and then how we saved on not removing asphalt and concrete and then doing boring instead. So I can certainly go through it, but there's not a lot to highlight. This helps us meet our deadline. The EPA wants this contract finished by July 28th, I believe. So this is the like final flag of completion for them. We still have time to submit reimbursements beyond that period. We have, I believe it's 3 months to do that. And I'm sure, as with always, we need to submit them like a final report But we're looking for this to be approved, pay request 8 for a current payment of $143,913.41.
Anyone want to make a
AJ, make a motion to pay the pay request number 8 for the sewer project, total of $143,913.41.
Sorry, I moved it on you trying to make it bigger. There you go.
That's right. Okay, motion by AJ. We have a second.
Todd will second it.
Second by Todd. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Cindy,
Aye.
Seth,
Aye.
Todd,
Aye.
and Andrew.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. We'll send it on to council. Okay, we already did 8, so review and approval of delayed sewer connection for 703 and 711 Railroad Avenue.
Yeah, so let's see, I'll pull up the agenda for you. So these are, again, our allowed delayed sewer connection. We established water or sewer, excuse me, on Railroad Avenue at these 2 locations. One of them is like that fitness center that's like the smaller building, and they are getting ready to sell the property. And so they wanted an extension for those 5 years. And the other one is just same thing. They're looking for an ability. They're not selling the property. They recently purchased the property and they're doing a whole bunch of renovation work, and they just want to be able to do the sewer at the same time. So even though I just say use 5 years because that's what the ordinance allows, they'll probably have it finished within the next year. So, and these are like the last 2, I think. Actually, there's one more. There's one outstanding that I'm tracking down. They need to connect soon because our ordinance doesn't say 90 days unless you make an application. So,
Okay. So anybody want to make a motion to review and approve delayed sewer connections?
AJ, make a motion to approve the delayed sewer connection for 703 and 711 Railroad Avenue.
Todd will second.
Motion by AJ, second by Todd.
You want that for the 5 years?
Yes, sorry, 5 years.
You're okay with that too, Todd?
Do we need a roll call since there's no money? Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. Possible closed session per Wisconsin Stats 19.851C, considering employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the governing body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility. Utility auxiliary worker 1-year review. Motion to go and close.
AJ, make a motion to go into closed session.
Todd will second it.
Motion by AJ, second by Todd. Roll call, please.
Seth,
Aye.
Todd,
Aye.
Andrew,
Aye.
and Cindy.
Aye. Okay.
Share screen. All right,
I'm glad you're here to help.
everybody's
Yeah.
back in the room. We're
Recording.
back in open session.
Recording started? How am I missing that? Okay, reconvene in open session with possible action on items discussed during closed session.
This is AJ. I make a motion that we approve what was discussed in closed session.
Todd will second it.
Motion by AJ, second by Todd. Roll call.
Andrew,
Aye.
Cindy,
Aye.
Seth,
Aye.
and Todd.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. Construction project updates.
well, it's interestingly enough, we're wrapping things up and it's July. It's such an odd construction season. But obviously the Main Street TAP project, the most of the work that Chippewa was supposed to do, they have 2 outstanding things that I didn't see fixed. One, they're supposed to epoxy some of the chips. So when they popped out the panels, they didn't do a great job of not pinching them. And so they all have like the exact same chip cut out of it. And it is incredibly difficult to remove concrete, but I asked them to epoxy it so that there's not water getting in there, which is the best way to fix concrete like that. And the other one is when they did the paint removal on the asphalt. So on the concrete, they were using water removal. And when they did that on the asphalt, it like carved out like the fill material. So like concrete's like pavement, asphalt pavement is made of aggregate. It's got like all these different sized things in it. Usually you just see those like big rocks, but there's all these different sizes of material. And so they just like ended up carving it away. Basically, wrong application on the asphalt. And so for the most part, I'm not worried about it on Jefferson and Court and Terhune. They didn't really go on the east side of Terhune because we're replacing it this year and next year. But on Rock Ave, like on the West Avenue side, that pavement was put in like 10 years ago. We don't want that to happen. So that's one of their punch list items. They need to do some repair, and they've been talking about different ways of doing it. So those two things are outstanding. Our part in it, like we've had to go and change some signs and some painting. So the guys have been doing that. And I think for the most part, all of that is completed. They just got some signs yesterday, including because we recycled the lights, like those lights at South Street were the lights that came from Jefferson, with the exception of we added the countdown for the pedestrians. So like, which is something I'm working with the DOT on trying to get a grant for the traffic changes at our traffic signal at Decker so that they also have the countdown. But when you press the button and you're crossing, you'll actually see the number go down. It's long overdue. But we added those there, but the signs were the same. So we just recently replaced the signs because it kind of looked shabby because it was like these old beat up signs. And so hopefully that'll make it look better. Besides that, the poles were fine. So that's more or less it for the Main Street project. On the sewer project, as we know, things are basically wrapped up. We're doing some work on the restoration. We ended up, working and getting that easement through the storage sheds back there on Iverson's property. And so we met out there with him and just to go through things with him, like especially when we have easements through people's property, we want to make sure they're happy with the end product. And so we talked about just adding a little bit of rock. I think it looks great back there. We certainly need to work on keeping the waterway under control in terms of like there's pampas grass out there like crazy. It's just spread. I'm assuming it came downstream the waterway, as we always get things downstream in the waterway, but we need to mow it back and keep it better under control there. So we're going to work on that. And it's already helped because now the bank's clear and we have less like obstacles in our way, and we're going to be clearing it anyway because now we have that sewer main going through there. Let's see. I think that's it for the big highlights of construction projects. Yeah, I can do the next kind of thing at our utility updates or street and utility updates.
Any questions for Sarah about that? Street and utility department updates.
Okay, from Greg, he says they're 90% done the sewer cleaning. They've got dirt and seeded for the water main project. If you remember, they did that smaller project on Railroad Avenue. The cleaning the 2 lift stations first thing tomorrow. Monday I've coined it the hole to nowhere. If you've looked out in the parking lot in the front there, you'll notice we have a barricade, and that is because we have a hole forming. The inlet was not sitting the box itself, the inlet structure on the top was not sitting where it was supposed to. It was off by 6 inches. Somebody clearly did the math wrong because the curb is 6 inches, right? And so when they built it, and so they set it on top, and it's not uncommon for them to slide it over a little bit. Like the curb doesn't always line up exactly where they put the structure, but they always like close it in. And in this case, the back of the inlet is kind of open. It always is, but then you're concreting it in, but it's set in a way that now water can get to the back, which it comes into the back part because it's most open, and it's getting underneath in the like where the storm sewer boxes is getting behind it. So we're opening up the smallest amount of area that we can, and we're going to see what's happening. But no promises there. I know I've talked to Nate a little bit about how we're paying for the patching, and we'll certainly look at building maintenance, but with that rollover of money for street maintenance, that's my backup plan if there's needed extra funds in order to take care of that. They'll be doing their like valve exercising soon, and they're working on a large meter order for 2025. So the one of the things when we were out the other day, we noted like how much fire hydrants, how much more expensive they are than they used to be. We used to be able to install them like $3,000, $4,000, like whole deal, and now you're in that $7,000 range. So Greg just mentioned also that we salvaged the one that was in front of the old, in that Railroad Avenue area in front of the old well house there, and we'll use it where we might need it in the future. So let's see. We also have our Center Avenue stuff coming through. The DNR gave us our final funding amounts. So that was one of the things I wanted to show here as well. We'll have to talk about it further if Excel works for me. It seems to be mad at me today. Not exactly sure why. It might just not work for me today. Long story short, if it does come up, I can see it. It's just a bear. Is it hiding somewhere? No, it is not hiding anywhere. Okay, well, for whatever reason, Excel's not cooperating with me today. But what ended up happening is that the DNR changed their protocol about the clean water and safe drinking water funding. It used to be that they paid, if there was water and sewer, they would give you half of the road with water and half of the road cost with sewer. And then with the new funding that came through and the fact that they had limited principal forgiveness, which is the grant portion, they started, and also the loan portion, they started restricting the funding for the street amount. And so we could only qualify 20% per grant, like per water, per sewer. And so it worked out pretty well for us on the water side, but the sewer side, they were like really particular. And so like, we often don't have a sanitary manhole, like it go from one end of the road to another. Sometimes we cut short because we drain only in one direction, right? Like gravity sewers are moving in one direction. Long story short, we knew we were going to be at least 35,000 that we would have to put in reserves. And then we thought it was going to be closer to 60,000. And now it looks like it's 89,000. So that sucks for us. We have good reserves for the sewer and, you know, we're planning for it, but it was just disappointing because with the reduction in total quantities, it reduced both the loan and the grant portion, right? Because we could only have 40% of whatever that total was. I would definitely complain about that one in the future. They said there were public comments, but I thought, like, I don't know how you can do a sewer main project and only take out 20% of the road. It just, where's your trench? Like, it doesn't make a lot of sense, but in any case. Okay, what else do we have? I know that the street department has been working on Prairie Wind Way and they just had like the worst case scenario. So they tore everything up and they started getting going and then it rained and they put rock, like right when after they put rock down and it saturated all that rock, and which meant anytime you drive over it, it was sinking. It was just bad news. It's not looking too bad now in terms of being soft, but they have to do more work and they knew they would. There's more loads of gravel that need to go out there, but I think it's looking pretty good. Like, good thing we have some days of hot, dry weather because that's what that project needs. And so they're going to go out there and do some compaction. And it's going to stay gravel until basically the end of this season. We're going to try to give it as much time. You always want to give your road base as much time to harden and get driven on. And if it's going to settle in an area, do that. And then we'll put the seal coat on at the end of the season. So, and the same thing, we're going to also finish the water main patch on Railroad Avenue is going to be seal coated then too. Unfortunately, I didn't give Wade a lot of time to reply about what his things were. I know they took a tree down, a smaller tree down this week on, I believe it was Decker. And they've been working on these smaller projects. So They've got waterway work that we're going to be doing. We got to cut down some of the waterways out on our Nelson Parkway by the arena. So we got work there, and it's kind of that time of year where it's like project time, trying to be able to get some good weather so that we can get these other like little projects that we have going on. So I think that's it, unless you have anything in particular that you want to ask about.
Way back at the beginning or near the beginning, you said something about valves. I just thought maybe AJ or
Yeah,
Seth.
so all the valves in the street, like not the ones that are curb stops that you see in the boulevard, but the bigger valves like on the main lines, we exercise them once a year to make sure that they're can work. So what we don't want is something to go wrong, like a water main break, and then not be able to isolate a certain area because one, that's water loss, but also it means more people are off when we have to turn off the water. So yeah, and it's just good practice. It's, it's like keeping everything operating properly.
Appreciate that, Cindy. Curious on exercising a valve, you just use them?
Yeah, we just basically turn them all the way open and all the way closed and back open again. We actually purchased a valve exerciser, oh boy, 2 or 3 years ago, which has been great because one, it's less wear on our employees, but also it prevents us from over torquing the valve and then breaking something by accident. So it's kind of a win-win. The guys have been enjoying using it. So. Mhm.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anybody else have any questions, comments? Second period for public comment. Anybody online yet?
There's new people.
This is public comment, if anyone online wants to make a comment. Okey doke. Adjournment.
Adam makes motion to adjourn.
AJ, I'll second.
Motion by Todd, second by AJ. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. We are adjourned.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much.